Well, good evening. Welcome to Indiana Automotive's annual Talking Track program when we celebrate Indiana's racing heritage. I'm Marsh Davis, president of Indiana Landmarks. I'm standing in tonight for Dave Wilson, who chairs Indiana Automotive. Dave is traveling this week, so I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the program. Now, for those of you who are not members of Indiana Automotive, you may wonder, what is it? Well, Indiana Automotive is an affinity group of Indiana Landmarks, comprised of our members who share a love for historic places in general, and especially those who have a deep interest in Indiana's rich automotive heritage, the people, the places, events, and of course, the automobiles that add immeasurably to our state's heritage. Indiana Automotive hosts programs and tours throughout the year, and we all look forward to resuming these in person very soon. We also advocate for the preservation of historic places associated with Indiana's automotive heritage. Here are some examples on the screen of events and programs that we've had. We see prior to this was Donald Davidson. We have an event planned for next summer in South Bend to look at the Studebaker heritage and some of the other landmarks in that community. And as I said, we also advocate for the preservation of great historic sites. This is the Ford Motor Company building in Indianapolis that had been forgotten and abused for decades. This is what it looked like until recently. This was on our list of 10 most endangered places. And thanks to the great work of TWG, developers have turned this back into a mixed-use residential commercial property, restoring it to its former glory, and I would say even better than before. So these are just some examples of the work that we do at Indiana Automotive, and we also have a vibrant and informative e-newsletter to keep our members up to date on related programs and events. Now, I know that many of you tuning in tonight are members of Indiana Landmarks and of Indiana Automotive, and we thank you for that. But for those of you who are not, we would enthusiastically welcome you to the group. So please go to the link that you'll see on this page, and you'll find information on joining. Or if you want to just call us, that's fine too. We'll take care of you one way or another. But please be in touch if you're interested in joining Indiana Landmarks and Indiana Automotive. We'd love to have you. A little bit of housekeeping tonight during the program. If you have questions, we ask you please to use the question and answer tab instead of the chat room. And what we'll do at the end of the program, time allowing, we will address those questions and be pleased to get to as many of them as possible. So now, on with the show. It is my great pleasure to introduce our presenter, Mark Utzler, who will tell us about the Indiana Racing Memorial Association and its prolific work across Indiana, commemorating outstanding places and people in our state's racing history. Mark Utzler's resume is a mile long, and he is what we call a man of letters, with a veritable alphabet soup of degrees that follow his name. But for our purposes tonight, he is the co-founder, along with the late former state representative Brian Hassler, of the Indiana Racing Memorial Association, or as we call it, Irma. And they did this back in 2015. As you will soon see, Mark has been a busy man since then, spreading Irma's work across the state. Mark is a principal in his company, The Edge, where he facilitates, coaches, and consults with organizational leaders to maximize their capacity. Among the many positions he holds, he serves as an adjunct professor in the Doctor of Education and Ethical Leadership program at Olivet Nazarene University. Closer to home, Mark has served as 500 Festival volunteer since 1988, co-chair of the AES Festival Parade since 1997, and member of the Citizen Speedway Committee, which administers the Indy 500 lap program. And he has attended every race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from 1965 to 2019. So let's give a big virtual welcome to Mark Utzler, founder and leader of the Indiana Racing Memorial Association.
Well, thanks, Marsh. It's a pleasure to be with you and all of your guests this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity. And I'm not the only one who's busy. We have a board of directors, an executive team, and an advisory group that works hard every day. We just all kind of divide the labor and pull together and make things happen. So I would be remiss if I didn't recognize them as really being the engine that keeps Irma running. And we're going to visit some of our places this evening that we have put up historic markers, which is one of our programs. And there we go. Excuse me, I forgot one vital thing, and that was to share the screen. Okay. Now, there we go. This is Irma's logo. You may have seen it on our historic markers, and we have one that's similar for the American Racing Memorial Association that recognizes people, places, and events outside of Indiana. First place we want to visit is Fort Wayne and the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. And you may wonder, why is a 13,000 seat multi-purpose arena related to racing heritage? Well, it was the first site of a USAC race in January of 1956. AAA up to that time had sanctioned racing and was changing its business focus, as well as I think there'd been a number of deaths in racing, and including Bill Vukovich at the Indy 500 in 1955. So AAA got out, USAC was formed in Indianapolis and began sanctioning the races. And the first one was inside the Coliseum. Here's the Coliseum shortly after it was completed. If you're looking for that view today, it's much different. It's no longer out in a field. And it has been added on to a lot. And here are some shots of racing in the Coliseum. It's a great venue. Tony Stewart there. And then another one is out on West Washington Street in Indianapolis. And it's to honor Floyd Pop Dreyer at the Dreyer Motorsports facility, where he did a lot of car building in the past. And he was a celebrated national champion career of Indian motorcycles. And there's a book written about him and his heritage of involved in racing and building cars, building motorcycles. And the shop is wonderful. We had an event there a few years ago to unveil that marker, as well as a reception. And it was called Irma at 33, 33 being kind of a revered number in motorsports, or at least for those of us affiliated with the Indy 500 or fans of the Indy 500. So this was our 33rd marker at the time. So we had a celebration called Irma at 33, and it had a very nice celebration. And these are some of the things. There's of course now there's many cars on display at Dreyer's. And the Indiana State Fairgrounds, of course, I'm sure that you all know about it, the mile track, which no longer is being used for auto racing, but it predates IMS and has seen nearly the same number of famous drivers as IMS has in its events, and served as a venue for probably the grandest chapter of African-American motorsports as well. A lot of USAC races there. Of course, the Hoosier 100 there was held there, and people get quite emotional when they talk about this track, as did the sponsors of this marker, because they recall when they were out fixing the fence before a race, and just all of the history. It's just so rich with history. One of the things that happened there in June of 1903, Barney Oldfield and some other barnstormers descended on the track, and They were egged on, of course, by promoter Carl Fisher. And so Barney became the first person in the country to eclipse the mile-a-minute mark. And a quote from the time said, "Men were white-faced and breathless, while women covered their eyes and sank back, overcome by the utter recklessness of it all." When the judges hung out the 55 and 4/5 seconds as the time for the lap, the riot of sound broke loose from the crowd. They were really seeing history as it was being made. What was called the Colored Speedway Association, and in 1924 staged its first 100-mile race, what would become known as Golden Glory Sweepstakes, also was on the famous Fairgrounds oval. And Charlie Wiggins, big star there. And we also have a marker honoring Charlie Wiggins in Evansville, where he was from, and where he, I think, after racing, before and after racing. So there's a look from overhead of the track, the mile. And there's a great shot of, can you imagine what it would have been like to be in the audience with that? A lot of dust, a lot of sound, a lot of excitement. And here's Marsh on the left at the Newport Hill Climb a couple of years ago with the Hill Climb Queen and the president of the Hill Climb Festival and myself. And what a great event this is. And Irma set out particularly to honor people and places and events. So this isn't exactly a venue, but it's an event, obviously, the Newport Hill Climb. And we were so appreciative of Indiana Landmarks of sponsoring this marker at the Hill Climb, and for the local officials there to approve its placement on the east side of the courthouse lawn. It began as an innocent challenge between two owners of what was then newfangled automobiles. And while early autos had trouble making it up the crest of the hill, they were soon topping the 140-foot plus hilltop with greatest of ease. So the first hill climb was in 1909, same year that the Speedway opened. And you can see crowds descend on Newport, which is the county seat. And I think I'm told, even though it's county seat and the courthouse is there, it doesn't have a gas station in town. So it's pretty interesting. And it's county seat for Vermilion County. Clinton is probably the largest community in Vermilion County, but the county seat is at Newport. And so by 1915, the newness wore off, and board track and other circular racing forms were becoming popular. And so there was an interest in holding the event, but it never materialized in 1916. So fast forward, the Newport Volunteer Fire Department rekindled the event as the Antique Auto Hill Climb in 1963. So it had quite a length of time that it didn't run. But again, there were financial difficulties in making it happen. So in '67, a number of enthusiasts got together, and with the support of the Newport Lions Club, the hill climb was reborn as a major fundraiser for the Lions Club. And the first event was held in 1968. And so soon after that, the first Sunday of October was designated as race day, as it is today, and will be this year again. So the event is one of the top 20 largest festivals in all of Indiana, and it attracts more than 100,000 visitors each year to Newport. And its population of Newport, county seat, remember, is 550 people. And on the Hill Climb website, it says 550 on a busy day. So it's a worldwide audience, and it's grown into the third largest motorsports event in the Hoosier State, trailing only the Indy 500 and the NASCAR at the Brickyard races. And then it's the Hill Climb. So Lions Club are an international service organization, and it sponsors a lot of projects such as Leader Dog for the for the blind in Rochester, Michigan, cancer research and treatment facilities at Indiana University Medical Center, eyeglass and hearing aid recycling projects, and diabetes awareness programs. And so this major fundraiser really enables the club to support these charitable causes. You can kind of get a good perspective from this shot of climbing that hill, which used to be, I think, US 63, and it's been rerouted a couple of times, but this was the original route. And there you can really see, get an appreciation for the steepness. And Marsh is an annual participant, I think, of this event. So here's some more of the cars. Beautiful cars. Car shows, in addition to them being run. And now we go to the Stutz Building. And this, of course, is Turner Woodard, who just recently began the process of selling the building after his great period of stewardship. We were there a few years ago at his invitation to unveil this marker, which sits across the street on Capitol and recognizes the great history of the building. And then also we had an event afterwards, a fundraising event in the museum that's his personal car collection in the Stutz Building. So Turner, I remember saying, he was telling about the building. He told his folks he wanted 4 things done. He said, we need to light it up, and we need to clean it up and paint it up, and then lease it up to make it work. And he's done a wonderful job in doing all of those things. So in its heyday, the new cars were put together and rolled on dollies, painted and inspected, then freight elevators carried the finished automobiles to the first floor for testing at IMS, and then shipped to customers. Harry Stutz was one of the most talented auto engineers and designers during Indianapolis's golden age of automobile manufacturing from 1900 to 1930. He designed a racing car for the first Indy 500 and was so impressed observers with its speed and endurance that Stutz and his business partner Henry Campbell organized the Stutz Motor Car Company to build automobiles in that building in Indianapolis. So the slogan became the car that made good in a day. The Stutz Bearcat became so popular that eventually they had to construct this plant at 14th and Capitol to take care of the volume that they were needing to do. And there's a picture of it in its current condition, and look at the great detail in that building. It's fabulous and so neat inside. You can almost hear the cars being made if you kind of walk around and just get enveloped by the atmosphere. But like so many things, the Great Depression shattered the upper middle class market for cars and the Stutz model. So the last car manufactured was in 1934, and the company closed in 1937. This is some more of Turner's collection where we had the event. This is the Tippecanoe County Fairgrounds. Most fairgrounds had, county fairgrounds had horse tracks that then became auto tracks. Not all of them, but most of them did. And Tippecanoe County was no exception. Nothing remains of the track other than just the flat piece of land that's now used for parking during the fair. But a couple of prominent people from Lafayette is who we were honoring, and they both raced there, and that was George Souders and Roscoe. And the interesting thing about George Souders is he was a rookie and won the Indy 500 in 1927. Second rookie. Of course, everyone in 1911 was a rookie in the event. So technically, Ray Haroon was a rookie when he won, and George was the second one. And he lived in Lafayette his whole life. His house is still standing in the north part of town. And he was president of his class at Jefferson High School. And he has relatives at a little town of Pine Village, west of West Lafayette, is where some of his relatives live today. So another interesting thing about George Souders is that he competed in the Italian Grand Prix, and others who have competed in that later was Mario Andretti, Phil Hill, Dan Gurney. So he's in, they're in good company. He's in good company as well for having done that. So he was very, very much into it. There's a look at the grandstand. This would be on the looking from the east side of the fairgrounds to the west, and the grandstands would have been north, on the north side of the track from where that shot was taken. Petersburg, another interesting small town in Fountain County, and Wabash Clay Company, as I'm sure many of us know, made most of the bricks for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway brick paving project shortly after the track opened. And this was put just west of the town hall on a rail trail so that it would be very visible. And the company was located about a mile from this site to the south. And there you can see what our markers look like. It's one of our board members, Dick Mittman, who used to write for the Indianapolis Times. Great guy, good photographer, good writer as well. And these were high quality bricks. This was like the asphalt of today, asphalt and concrete for paving roads today. And there's the other side of what the marker has on it. This was one of our when Indiana Bicentennial project, we were approved as that. So the markers that year were part of that project. To the left there of the marker is Brian Hassler, my friend and co-founder, who passed away about a year ago, and he was certainly a big part of Irma, and had a vision, both vision and speed of getting things done. We never thought that we would be closing in on 50 markers this quickly. We thought perhaps we could do 2 or 3 a year. At the time they were about $2,500. They're now about $3,000. And so, we thought, well, raising this money is going to be, take some time to do that and to get people on board. And we found people have just been excited to have these markers in their community. In Tippecanoe County, they had some funds left over from the bicentennial event that the county didn't spend, and they put it towards the project, and the mayor kicked in the rest. In Crawfordsville, we have a marker for Howdy Wilcox, who was from Crawfordsville, and the mayor paid for the whole thing because he remembered when the city was a banner community. They used to be one of the cities where the Speedway would put up a banner with the dates of qualifying in the race, and it was a big deal. And the Holiday Inn, of course, all county seats pretty much had Holiday Inns at the time. Would 3-night minimum, and the rates would be higher, and it would sell out year after year. He remembered all that, and he said, oh yeah, we want to do that. And likewise in Petersburg, small town, it may be a little bigger than Newport, but it's I think about the same. We thought, where would the funding come from? Well, there's a factory there, and the town council has a tax increment finance district, a TIF district. And they have paid for so many great improvements. You go there and you see new sidewalks and new town buildings, and they've just leveraged that really well. And so the redevelopment commission made the investment to have this marker in its community. And they were very nice to give Irma, the town clerk treasurer, this photo of the brick Wabash Clay Company when it was in production. You can see the bricks stacked up on the bottom, getting ready to be shipped out, and some others there as well, and all the guys who are working. And they have, with this, they gave us the list of names of everyone in that picture. So I thought that really made it special. you go on the town's website, I think this is where it is. It's on a website about that. They will ask the question, you know, are you related to someone in this picture? Because there's like probably about 50 people in there that work there. Donald Davidson, who before he retired often spoke at most of our events to add a little historic perspective, said he remembered soon after coming to the United States, he went to Petersburg, and he remembers talking to some people at the local cafe who worked at the plant when they were making the bricks for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was, I think there were 500 rail cars used, and they were shipped out on the what was the New York Central, Peoria, and Eastern, went through Crawfordsville, Brownsburg, and went really by the Speedway. It's now the trail in the back or the north side of the USAC office. That was a railroad right away, and that's where they were shipped in. And here's another view of that. Something like 20 kiln. They all had tunnels linking them together so the coal could be brought in for that. Petersburg had 2 shale pits, one in the north part of town and one in the south part of town. And this Wabash Clay Company was on the south part of town. There was also another that was on the west part of town. So they had 2 brick manufacturing facilities that were owned by Culver Block, the Culver patented blocks. They own these companies to make them. Now this building, you know, looks like it's seen better days, and I'm sure that it has, but this was the headquarters of the Wabash Clay Company. And through our research, we found that Carl Fisher came to sign the contract for the bricks to be ordered and be manufactured for the Speedway. And so inside the white door is a scale. You can't really see it on the outside of the building, but there's a scale that you drive up on. I'm sure that's how they weighed things. Then in that kind of different looking brick part, there's a walk-in vault. And by the second chimney is a very ornate mantelpiece, which we presume was the president's office and probably the room where he met, Carl Fisher met with the president of Wabash Clay Company and signed the contracts for all of the bricks. So when we, Bob Gates and I, Bob is on our executive team and writes the language for all of our markers. We traveled over to Petersburg a couple of times and visited there. And so he put this picture up on our Facebook page, and I think it was about 24 hours or something. It had like 15,000 hits on it. People were going nuts over what this building was and what it represented to racing. And there were some comments about, oh my gosh, the IMS museum should buy it and bring it over to the track and put it, I guess, next to the museum building. But I mean, people were just, you know, passionate about this building, even in the state that it is. And I think it's pretty much structurally sound, and the owner, is, you know, obviously has tried to keep the water out. So it'd be great to be rehabbed. So a little bit about Irma, just some fun facts. It's founded in 2013, and our board adopted the Historic Marker Legacy Program as a vision to accomplish the mission, and the mission is celebrating Indiana's racing heritage. The first marker was installed on July 4th, 2014 at Winchester Speedway on the 100th anniversary of its opening. And then we soon were getting inquiries about what about people who are out of state. And so obviously Irma wouldn't do something out of state. So we created a national brand, if you will, but we called it American Racing Memorial Association. And same type of program, really, to put markers up outside of Indiana. In 2019, we did 3. We did one at Tinley Park for the Bentonhausens, one in Fresno for the Vukoviches, and one in River Oak, suburb of Fort Worth, Texas, for Johnny Rutherford. So we had a very busy year, and we're you know, teeing up for last year as well, and then of course everything came to a stop, but we were really pretty pleased that we got 3 out in sort of the rollout year, even though we settled on on what we were going to do in 2018. We have some of you know Dave Bozell, who's has been part of HARF and the National Auto Racing Fans Association, and Bob Gates they form our Irma's selection team and Arma's selection team. So they vet requests and make sure that it's not just somebody with, you know, extra money that wants to have a marker, as much as, you know, that would be cool. We do want to make sure that we're having integrity with the brand, and Dave has an exhaustive list of not only sites in Indiana, but also around the country, and sites and people that we would eventually like to honor. Irma received the Dick Miller Award from the Indianapolis 500 Old Timers in 2017, and the Parsons Performance Award from Racers Reunion in Texas in 2019. We've been blown away by attendance at our events, our unveiling events, which I think there's been 48 of them, or however the math works out there. 16,000, almost 17,000 people. Average attendance 348. Largest was Jungle Park in north of Rockville, Indiana, where there was 1,000 folks who came when we did a marker. And then 2 years later, we did a reunion, and 1,000 people came again. Then total attendance at other events, our fundraisers or events like that, about 2,000, just under 2,000, and average attendance 126. And we've raised $133,000 to put up the markers, mainly from local communities and people who just have a passion for what we're doing and want to support a certain person or a place or an event. And they say, yeah, I'd like to do that. Now that's what we've done. And so here is what we are getting ready to do with the help of Indiana Automotive and Indiana Landmarks. This, of course, is Whiteland Raceway. And we will be doing, Andy and Sarah have graciously given their consent for us to have a marker and place a marker on the property. And so we're really pleased about that. I believe we're shooting for this fall, about that, America's oldest kart track. So it's you know, loaded with history. And I believe that they are with us now. So I'm going to end my screen share, and we'll go back to it's just me. So I'll check the chat room.
Well, Mark,
Yes.
we have not yet been joined by Sarah and Andy.
Oh, no problem. I can mention something. This one chat about a guided history tour reminded me of something we were doing with Crown Hill. Of course, Crown Hill has always promoted the racing legends that have been interred there, that are interred there. And this will be a web-based walking or driving tour where you can select who you want to see, and it will give you the most logical way to get there. I think there are about 63 interred there. And so we've been working with them. We have created very nice oval discs with checkered flags and marking their graves as a racing legend who is there. So I believe those are up or going up, and probably this fall we will roll that out. And in that web-based tour, people have recorded like 2-minute vignettes. Howdy Bell, Bob Jenkins, Scott Hoke, Donald has done some as well. I think I've got, that's everyone who's doing it. Voices you would recognize, and we'll talk about those people. So we're really excited about that, and can do that for, you know, any cemetery anywhere as far as that goes, or do that for our markers. You know, if someone wants to take a driving tour around Indiana to look at all of our markers. So we will eventually get all that GPS data put in and do that. So that reminded me of that, as somebody has made that comment there. And yeah, somebody's mentioned that they would love to see another Jungle Park reunion, and you know, we're in contact with the owner of the property, and the family just kind of commits at the last moment, or they're just not real excited about it sometimes. And then when we have it, they're great, but no, we don't want to commit for 2 years from now, which is kind of the schedule we would have. So, you know, just stay tuned, right? Stay tuned.
Hey, Mark, while
Yes.
we're waiting for, hopefully we'll be joined by Sarah Fisher and Andy O'Gore shortly, but in the interim, do you want to take a couple of questions that have come up in the question
Oh
box?
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, maybe a comment first, and I'd like to challenge you on one of your
Okay.
because I love the, you know, I love the Newport Hill Climb, one of my favorite events. But I understand maybe in the early days of the Brickyard 400, but right now, I mean, I believe it's the second largest event.
Yeah, good point, Marsh. That could be. Now, I was on, I think I pulled that information off of the website today, but you know, I mean, like our website is not up to date either, Irma's. You know, those things sometimes don't get up to date, but you are probably right. That is probably the second, and was until the Brickyard came in. And then F1 probably displaced it maybe for a couple of years, because I think there's a couple 100,000 people for F1 at the very beginning. But yeah, I bet that is the second one.
But talk about punching above your weight. I mean, a town of 500 and some people, it's a great event. If those of you who are watching, if you haven't been there, I just think it's terrific. And these cars are fun. They're all manner of as I say, they're very few trailer queens. It's mostly great drivers. A couple questions. Probably most general is, where can I find a list of Irma historical markers and their location?
Oh, that's great. That will eventually be up on our website, but if you would want to email me, I can email you the list. We have the list that's current, that lists everything we've done and a little bit about the programs. Or we also have a Facebook page that is much more it's dynamic. I mean, it's updated all the time. And so if you want to send a message to the Facebook page, a private message with your email address, and say, I'd like a list of marker locations, I'll be glad to send that, email that to you in a Word document, or if you need PDF, I can do that. Yeah.
Look in the chat room. It just popped up for a second.
Okay. Yes.
Get that back out. Yeah, it should be in the chat.
There it is. Yeah, it is. So yeah, facebook.com/Indiana Racing Memorial Association. Pretty long, but that's it. That'll get you there. Or if you forget that, just type in Indiana Racing Memorial Association and search, and that'll pull you there.
Great. Back to way back at the beginning of your program, talk about Floyd Dreyer. The question was, is any relation to Dreyer and Reinbold?
Yes, it is. And I'm not exactly sure which generation it is, but yes, it is. Yep. That was the genesis of Dreyer and Reinbold. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And another question, have you considered putting a marker at Eldora? Ron asked the question, that as a Hoosier, and now a longtime Ohio resident, I grew up on the short tracks that were around the area, including the IMS, Anderson Speedway, Winchester, and Eldora. So you think about putting one up there?
We have talked about that, yes. So if this person who's asked about that has any local contacts or anything, I mean, I'm not sure where it is on our list. What we're trying to do, particularly with the Irma markers, are to get people like the Al and Bobby Unser and Pernilla Jones, while they're still alive and can enjoy, seeing a marker done for them. So that's kind of our focus right now. But we absolutely love to have suggestions, and like I say, we take them through our standards and selection team. And I know Eldora is. I know we've talked about it, and yeah, it would just be a matter of us connecting with someone local, because we have to have what we like to have is permission of the honoree. In this case, the Eldora Speedway. And then we need to have, obviously, the money raised for it, and we need to have a place for it to be. And then the sponsors of it get to vet the language with us. I mean, we'll write it and send it off and make sure everybody's happy. So that's kind of the way we operate. If somebody says, no, I don't really want to, we stop and go on down the list.
Okay, let's go back to Whiteland for a moment.
Yeah.
This wonderful track that was recently rescued, and the Indiana Landmarks and Indiana Automotive are so pleased to join with the owners in co-sponsoring a marker we hope to do sometime later this year. And I see that we have Sarah who's joining us. A little cameo appearance here. Can we get in there?
All right. There they are.
She is.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear. It's good for you. Good to have you with us. So thanks for taking out some time to do that. I just showed some of the photos of Whiteland that I think Andy you'd sent to Jessica for the presentation, and talked about what Irma has done and what Irma is preparing to do, particularly at your facility. So we're kind of at that point where you could tell us about what's going on out there, maybe a little bit of the history of the track. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was fortunate enough to grow up in the background of Whiteland Raceway Park from the early 90s, really through the early 2000s and into my IndyCar career. Got to raise my brother there and a lot of other young kids along the way to try to help them get their careers off the ground. And, it wasn't but a few years ago that Sarah and I took our own kids out there to try to, just get them started in the sport and see, kind of gauge their interests and have some fun. And, we saw the track in really a state of shambles and disrepair. And, but we had our own projects to handle at the time. And, really just, it was one of those things that stuck in the back of your mind of just how bad it was and how much you'd love to see it return to its former glory. And the fact that there was room there on the business side and on the historical side to do that. And, we got an opportunity in mid 2018 to take a look at that from the previous owner. And, we were able to capitalize on that, move rather quickly, shut the place down for, a 30 to 60 day period and do a quick cleanup, assess the situation a bit, and then establish some long-term goals, which we've laid out in a matter of a couple years. We built the 3 buildings and added 36 garages and a technical center with a chassis dyno and setup pads and things like that. And, last year we repaved the majority of the track. We added a lot of infrastructure and drainage and acres and acres of parking. And, this year we are adding 2 more buildings. We've changed some configurations on the track. We still kept the historical pieces, but we've added some new pieces as well. So, we're just having fun with it. It's our baby. It's what we go to kind of decompress with our own kids when we leave, everyday work and what kind of brings in the money. And Whiteland is definitely more a tug at the heartstrings and a long-term plan. So we're having fun.
Awesome. It just seems like everything is going well. Everything you do, I mean, you just do it in the right way. Like adding parking in the buildings and everything. So you make it user friendly, right? You make it work for the people who are your customers, and I'm sure they appreciate that. What's been some of the challenges, Sarah, of owning a racetrack? I mean, this is pretty cool parenting, right? You take your kids out there and they have fun, so you buy them the track. I mean, that's you guys should be parents of the year.
I think just balancing, the need and the want to have a really well-run organization, and still be able to go there for fun for ourselves. So we're just truly blessed that we have such a great staff that takes care of, the facilities and operations of, the week to weekend schedule, our club schedule there. So, to have that, we are just very thankful, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to go there and enjoy it as competitors like we had intended. So, it's all about your people, and we're just so appreciative that the people in our community in Indianapolis have really believed in what we've done there and have jumped on and have so many entrants every weekend is just phenomenal, and it really shows that we have support of grassroots racing.
Absolutely. So what's new? What's new for this year?
Really just looking to the national side of the sport. We've been fortunate enough to secure races for 5 to 6 other sanctioning bodies. And we're trying to gauge where the sport's going from a kart engine combination to ensure that we have solid kart counts and economical classes for people to grow and run with us. And I think, we've changed some formats, and it's one of those things where only time will tell if the master plan, if we did the right things, if the larger sanctioning bodies like SCUSA and WKA did the right things. But we're happy. We're excited. It's fun to go racing again. It's fun to see the 20+ kart fields on a local level, and easily 100 to 150 kart counts on a local race weekend, and just to see the families out there and everybody trying to do the right thing.
So do you think we'll see some of the drivers who are competing at Whiteland at the Indy 500 in a future year?
Oh, there's no question about it.
Oh, absolutely. There's a few that have garages. I mean, one of the really fortunate things for us was that, the Willpower Kart organization and Will and his group committed to, being a part of our new garages that's going up, and to see him even get into the sport at grassroots. There's a lot of different kids that have come down there and run, Zach Beach and Tony, and it's just nice because it's a facility that's deserving of having that type of support. But at the time that we took it over, it needed a lot of uplift. So, but to see them supporting it when it's at a level that it can be supportive is really cool.
Absolutely. What's been a peak experience as a track owner or race promoter? What's something that stands out that's just that warms your heart from that experience?
Yeah, I think there's a couple pieces there. Sarah just called out the banquet, the year-end banquet, just to see the support from the people and how much week in and week out, those points mean and the awards mean. But I think for me, and I'd have to say for Sarah too, is when you are the last one to shut the lights off at the track at night, it's like being able to put your own field of dreams to bed. Yeah. It is, it's humbling. It's just an opportunity that we never thought we would get, and we have fun with, and we're lucky to be in that position.
Awesome. Sounds like you're doing it all right. You got the business side, and you got the passion side, and you're raising up the next generation of drivers, right? So that is so cool. I mean,
we hope so. There's a lot more than just drivers there too. There's great mechanics and PR people and engineers, and just that next generation of people who show the enthusiasm and adrenaline for the sport. It's just it makes it fun again, and it reminds you through some of the harder times.
Absolutely. That's what we hope, with our marker program that Irma does, that, it will be an inspiration to somebody that walks by it, all granted pretty passive, but yet, oh, this person's from my hometown and did this. I could probably do that as a crew member, an engineer, a driver, or even a fan, right? It takes fans to make the engine go.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. So great. Well, thank you. Anything else? Do people need to call ahead for tickets for distancing or whatever? Yeah. Well, who knows, right? It may change tomorrow. But,
exactly.
What's the current thing? Yeah.
We try to roll with the punches. Johnson County has been a little bit more easygoing than Marion County, but it's all about introducing the sport to people and letting people come out and have fun. We encourage people to bring their own coolers, their lawn chairs. We've got 2 really big observation mounds that overlook the track. We've got 3 sections of bleachers and seating. We charge $1 gate admission, and we donate all the money for gate admission and the 50/50s to the charity of the week. We've been able to help a lot of people through that. And like I said, we're just proud to be the stewards on the karting side and the ones who were in the lucky situation when we did. And we are very fortunate to receive the support from Irma, and we're so excited to see the dedication here later this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for putting yourself out there and doing this. I know this means a lot to a lot of people.
Thank you guys. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
your
you very,
support.
very much.
Marsh, I'll throw it over to you. I think you had some.
Oh, no, I thank Andy and Sarah. You've been great to work with. Can't wait. Hope we get it done in the fall. But Mark, do you want any concluding remarks? I've got a few questions.
Okay, let's.
We got about 8 minutes left.
8 minutes, so let's do the questions.
Good. Okay. One from Aaron asking about the. We got a lot of great ideas for more markers, so you're going to be busy.
Awesome.
Aaron asked about the Stout Field, Atterbury, and Studebaker Proving Grounds, and with the history of the SCCA in the 1950s. Any plans to put markers there?
At Stout Field, I've not heard us discuss that, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. It may be something that Dave and Bob know about. Studebaker, I presume she's talking about in South Bend. Yes, we do have plans for that. I believe a couple of things up there. Studebaker, obviously, and I think Andy Granatelli had a connection with South Bend, if I'm remembering this right, or maybe STP was there, but there's something there. And then Hoosier Tire down the road a bit. So there's kind of a trifecta, if you will, that I don't know if we'll get it pulled off all in one day or over 2 days. But yes, we do have plans for that. I appreciate knowing about Stout Field, if that wasn't on all of our radars before.
How about Atterbury?
Atterbury, yeah. Likewise, I don't think I'd heard about that either. So thanks. I mean, I've read a bit about the history of Atterbury as the as the installation, military installation, but I didn't know about racing there. So
okay, another idea.
I'm learning. This is great.
Here's another one from my friend Paul up in Northwest Indiana. Would you consider the Roby Speedway in Hammond?
Oh yeah, yep, yes.
Good. And any info on Everett Rice?
No. So tell me more.
Okay. I can't help you with that. But,
okay.
Maybe Kevin can fill us in on that. Another question is like, what is the most obscure venue you've considered for a marker? And was anything a big surprise to you? Because you guys know everything about racing, but what surprised you?
Wow. Great question. I'm having all of our events and marker unveilings are distinct because they're built around what the honoree wants to do, or the sponsor, or the landlord of where the marker goes. So we found that while they have similarities of how we do it, they're all distinct in that. So obscure, nothing really sticks out there. The small towns really intrigue me, like the town of Odin with Joe Dawson, so the marker is in front of the town hall. Roanoke is another small town just southwest of Fort Wayne on US 24. And that marker is in front of the local history museum. And that's pretty cool. And like, Newport, 500 people, Petersburg, probably get in trouble. I'm thinking it's somewhere around, maybe it's closer to 1,000, but smaller. It's just really cool that people are in touch with, and I guess obscure, somewhat, although people know about it, Jungle Park, because it's out there in the country. Some of the stands are still there. It was part of a national show within the last year about lost speedways, which is awesome. And, so much history. If you didn't make the turn, you either went in the tree, you hope to go in the tree, I guess, because you'd end up in Sugar Creek if you didn't. And then you'd be racing down at the action track if you floated far enough, I suppose, because the river goes to Terre Haute. So great question, but I can't think of anything obscure like that.
Well, let's rip through a few more if we can. Yeah. A nice comment, which doesn't require a response unless Sarah, but says, please tell Sarah I remember her blue Mead paper car at Eldora. She was great in sprinters and has continued IndyCar.
Those are those grassroots that we love to go back to. Sure. Thank you.
And that's from Ron. And another question from him. There was a midget track called Lake Seacott, hope I'm pronouncing it right, just west of Logansport. Do you know about it? And is there a marker? There if it still exists?
I don't think it still exists. I have not heard of it. So we don't have any plans for it, but we certainly would love to know more about it.
Good.
Yeah.
And is there anything being thought about for the memory of Lloyd Ruby?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's on our list too, because he was such a favorite driver here when he raced at Indy, and had the nickname Hard Luck Driver. And I guess he had so much that didn't go well for him, but that would be awesome. We've not connected with anyone in Wichita Falls where he was from, but I know that would just be a real fan favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I've got through all the questions. We are at like 3 minutes to go. Mark, Sarah, Andy, any last words?
No, I don't think so. We just appreciate the opportunity and thank everyone for their support within the community, and to have you guys out and share the last 62 years and what we've got planned for the future.
And before you sign off, there is one last question. You mentioned taking your children to their track to gauge their interest in the sport. Have they caught the bug?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, how could they not? But, I think everybody has a story there at Whiteland, and we're excited to share our family's story, and to listen to all of yours.
And in the end, if it comes, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's fine. But we're having fun and trying to live in the moment, and, we take wins when we get them, and take learning opportunities every day, just like you do with.
Good. Well, thank you all.
Marsh, I would just say, if someone has questions, of course, the program has to come to an end, but message us on Facebook if you have a question or if you have a suggestion. I love these suggestions tonight. I've learned a lot doing this from the audience, so from the guests. I really appreciate that. Always learning. I've learned so much doing this in the years we've had it together. So please, open door, contact us, and we'll get back with you. And may not be able to do what you want, but we certainly will give it all consideration.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all. Thanks to all of you who participated tonight. Mark, really appreciate the presentation. Don't forget about Indiana Automotive. If you'd like to become a member, and of course, Irma would welcome that as well. So thanks to all. Stay tuned for more. Check us out at indianalandmarks.org. You'll find a lot more on this and other things we're doing. So good night, everyone, and great thanks.